So that is Express. So Express, that is Express. And then so with Express now you can be able to you are able now to like create an app method, an app like wrap everything to app, and then now you can be able to access different methods on which are within the Express. Yeah. So what this application does, or what it does, is that it just makes our application will be listening on port. So you have to expose your application so that people can be able to access whatever you write within this app. So the first thing we did was to create a port where our app will be running on. Then this will be kind of like our auth router. So this one, if you are new to APIs, if you're new to APIs, if you're new to APIs, if you're new to APIs, just a few minutes. So if you're new to APIs, I highly recommend you RESTful APIs, and you're not familiar with RESTful APIs. I highly recommend you check it out. You check the Express documentation and how to create RESTful APIs using Node, so that you can be able to understand what we are going to be doing here. Yeah. So then we have another dependency, that is the Express and not more. So not more makes it easy for you to refresh your applications. It makes it easy to access your. You don't need to restart your server. Not more covers it for you. So I'm just waiting for these packages to install and ask right now as we wait for it to install. Yeah, if you have any question, you can ask as we wait for it to install. Hello. Yeah, so it's taking a lot of time to load. So what I'm gonna do as we wait for it to download, to install, I'm gonna create a config folder. Yeah, I'm gonna create a config folder. So inside the config folder, I'm gonna create db.config .js. So I'm gonna create db.config.js. So it's advisable that you don't use the name db.config, because most people, attackers will be able, if your application is not well secured, people will be able to know that this is the database file. So you can choose another awesome name. People won't be able to know. So I'm gonna create a config file. So we don't have Mongoose. We haven't installed Mongoose since we do need Mongoose to do that. So once the installation has completed, we're gonna install Mongoose. So Mongoose is also another package, not package, this one. So it's an awesome package for Mongo that connects or helps you to connect to Mongoose, which makes it easy for people to create models and schemas like ODM, that is object data models. Object data models. Yeah, so object data models, instead of creating, just like Firebase, the way Firebase does, instead of creating, remember MongoDB is a non-SQL. So currently right now, let's check out this, like this database. So if like, for example, this database, we only have this particular field, but later on, we may decide to add maybe like a phone number here under the agents. So we might want to add an agent, a phone number. So MongoDB is an NoSQL, meaning that you can add fields later on as you build, but it doesn't have to follow the ELD or entity relationship diagram like the way SQL works, which makes the development easier, because once you figure out that there is a field which is needed to be added on maybe a specific table schema or a schema, a specific schema, you can be able to add it later on in your build. So it's quite easy and it's quite effective. And like when you are developing with the SQL and you miss one field, you have to like drop like the entire DB and then create another schema, which is really frustrating. So the design of more of a DB or table relationship doesn't really that doesn't really apply in MongoDB. So I'm gonna create a connection. So what I'm gonna do is just require. So I was talking about when we for the guys who were at the event, Charles spoke about creating your database, connecting web 2 with the web 3 with the current web 2 technologies, and this is what we are doing. So we're gonna connect blockchain with we're gonna connect web 3 with web 2 with web 2. Yeah. So what I'm gonna create an async function. So async function connect DB. So this is an async function to connect to DB, and it's gonna be a try catch statement. So try catch is a good way, because if something happens and we don't connect to a DB, then we can be able to catch that error. And yeah, so I'm gonna do a wait Mongoose. So Mongoose gonna be returning a promise for connection, so we can be able now to access the methods, the method connect on Mongoose connect. Then I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna create a .env file. So .env. It's called .env because it's just the way it is. It's a .env. It's just like that. .env. So I'm gonna create an environment or a variable name, Mongo. So most of the time it's written in caps. So this is where we're gonna have our URI, like our Mongo URI. So we can have dev Mongo URI, and we have production Mongo URI. So for me, this is my cue to add Mongoose. So we're gonna add Mongoose. It's gonna be yarn add, just clear so that it's visible. So I'm gonna add and then we're gonna add .env. So .env package .env. So you're gonna add .env there like that. So you can add this on your end. Can add this on your end. So that's the .env. Yeah. Then we should be good. Yeah. So for .env, we're gonna, once we have added the .env, add Mongoose and .env. Before that, as we wait for it to install, we need to paste our URI here, our development URI here. So we're gonna go back to Mongo. Gonna go to Mongo, and we're gonna create a correction. Gonna create a correction or a document. We first of all create a correction. Yeah. So create a correction. Correction name. So it's gonna be USSD. It's gonna be USSD blockchain. But we can also do it. We can create it. Okay, we shouldn't have created a correction. We should have First of all, created the database. Just drop it. Yeah. So like that, and then users. So collection name, that is the database name, and then collection name is users. So collection is a table, and then the data name, and then documents are the table rows and data. Yeah. And there, so we have our database now. So we have our database. So since we have our database, we can just copy the name. Before we copy the name, you can see our MongoDB is running on this particular port. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just get the URI. So I don't know which port your MongoDB is running at, but I'm just gonna do it like that. So it's supposed to be Mongo // and localhost colon 27 followed by the port, then followed by the name of our database. So it's supposed to be followed by the name of our database. So let's just copy the name of our database, paste it there. So now we can be able to access our database through this URI. So let's wait for these packages to install. So we can now be able now to continue. So inside the connect method, we can now be able to pass our URI. We can now be able to pass our URI. So our URI is, but before that we need to inside our app.js, we need to require, first of all, you need to require .env require, so that we can be able to access the .env. So we need to access the .env so that we can be able to access these variables inside this file, the .env file. And then once we have done that, now we can pass in the variable. So it's gonna be processed. Let's go URI. We have been able to pass our URI here. You can alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can just copy this URI, because this will be exposing your database on this config file in case a hacker accesses your application. But with this, they cannot be able to know entirely how your database structure looks like. So it will be really hard for them to do that. Yeah. So let's continue. So yeah. So inside the .connect, there are some other object data or some data that we need to pass. So we need to use new URL parser. So we need to set them to be true. Then we also need to use unified topology. So this means this completely installation. So unified topology to be true. We also need to use find and modify. So this will help in the finding and modifying of records, and true to be forced. It's supposed to be forced so that people can't just modify your record, and then use create index to be true. True. Yeah. Then below here now we can be able to like console log and see. So log, check our database if it has connected. So we can pass just a text saying database connected. Yeah, like that. Then on our catch, we can catch an error and say something. So something happened to our database. So it wasn't able to connect to the database. Then we can console. You can just write the complete one on. It's the same. And then you can do something else there. Then you so this one is supposed to be a function. It's supposed to be a function or a method. Then you can do connect DB like that. So we can also let's just do it. Yeah, then you can save. Then we can move on to the next point now. So we're gonna also save this one. We're gonna save this one too. Then we're gonna now going to import. So we're just gonna do require. We can just do require not .env, but our folder is config. Then we have db.config. Now we have actually access to our DB now. We have our access to our DB. So what is just left for us to do is to run our application. So we can start our application. So make sure your DB is running. Make sure your DB is running, and you have created a DB here with a collection of users. And you should be able now to be connected to the auth router is not defined. So let's just remove this one because I don't remember talking about it. So okay, this is weird. It should be Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, my bad. So I made a mistake there. My bad. So we have a problem with use create index. So use create index. So it seems like these two are not supported. So should be good now. Yeah, now we are good. So the database has connected. So database connected. So this is our application, our database now. We have connected to the database. Now we are good. I hope we are up together up to that point. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create the models. I'm gonna create the model and the controller for creating a user. So for creating a user. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create another folder. So we said our application gonna follow the MVC. So models, views, and controllers. So we're gonna have models. So inside models, we're gonna create users.js. We're gonna create users.js. And inside users.js, we'll have our schema. We'll have our user schema. So remember we added mongoose here. So we added mongoose here, and we have the .env. So we're gonna use mongoose to create the object data models for us. So we're gonna have const mongoose. So we're gonna require mongoose. It's supposed to require supposed to be in quotes. Then once we require, gonna create a schema method called the schema method. So schema. So this schema will be coming from the I hope you guys can be able to hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create now the schema const. So the schema will be user schema. Then it's gonna be new schema. Inside the new schema, we'll have an object. So this JSON-like format data will be, so the first thing that we want to have is we want to have like a name. I mean first name of the user, which is supposed to be a string. So we can just pick the name of the user. Then we need a phone number. We need our phone number here. And it's supposed to be a string. It can be a number, but since we're gonna combine it together with +254 or +2 +1, depending on the country of your origin, since we're gonna be using a plus, it's gonna be a string, because so that it can be able to accept other characters. But we can basically make it to be a number. But since most carriers have most phone carriers requires to be plus 2 something plus something, we're gonna make it a string. So but that's the reason why. And then we're gonna need an address. Yes, Martin.
Is it possible to make it in digit form? So, and then when someone sends the phone number, we add the plus manually, not manually, automatically. It's attached.
Yeah. But for it's good to actually, you can do that. But sometimes I prefer, because of the conversion, you will actually write a lot of code when you are doing the conversion to string to number and such.
Okay.
Yeah. So the best thing is to actually store it directly as a string. But remember, you must be able to do form validation. You have to do form validation so that people don't input maybe a minus or a bracket. Like, let's say, for example, like they may put quotes as their phone numbers, like that, something like that. They may be able to do that, but you need to do a form validation that it has to be a plus. The number must start with a plus. So you gotta use a library known as this one for phone numbers. So there is one for React, but I'm looking for Node, phone number converter. Yeah. So you can use phone number converter library to convert the phone. Yeah. So I'm gonna show you how we are going to like put the validation for the form. But basically, Africa's token gives you that ability to validate, but you can never be too. It's good to be always careful to protect your number. Yeah. Then for wallet, it's gonna be a string. It's gonna be a string because it's a combination of things. It's gonna be a string like that, and then we're gonna have private key. So private key. Then we're gonna do the exportation now of our module. So we're gonna export modules. Module exports and then now we can be able to access the model method. So we can export it as either users or users. So most of my models, I like them to be users, like capital, to be capitalized. That way I'm able to know the difference between this and this one. Yeah. And now we can be able to save data. You can be able to save our model. So once you save, you should be able to go back on. So I think we can drop this model and then we'll be able to have then drop. We have dropped the entire database. Yeah. we can reload the database will be back. Actually, drop the database. Create it again. Okay. Okay. So we have our model and we have our DB config. So the next step we'll be doing before we even go back to our app.js, we're gonna be creating, we need to create a user. So we need supposed to be inside the creating a user. Services. So we need to create a kind of a route, kind of a route. It's a route or a site controllers. Yeah, we need to create it inside the controllers. So I'm gonna create another folder called controllers. Controllers. Then inside controllers, we're gonna have users. Users controller. Users controller. You can just put it as dash or controller. So it's controller. .js. So we have users.controller. So this one you can also we need to rename this one to users dot yeah dot like that. Then so here inside inside the controller, inside the controller we will require the model user. So user we require it. We need to require. So we can either require it as see, it's supposed to be models slash supposed to be to then some models, yeah, like that. So then we can now create a function now. We can just do exports dot add dot create user So it should just be that, and then we need to create parameters. So the data that will be inputted. So we're gonna be inputting this. These fields are the ones which will be required. So I'm just gonna copy them like that. Then I'm gonna do some changes to them. So these are the parameters that we need when we are creating a new user. So we need a wallet. We also need a phone number. We also need a first name, and we also need a private key. So it's a function. Remember, it's a function, and we need to now define it. So it's gonna be const new user. New user equals new user, the user model, which will be these fields that we need. So once we have entered, we have inputted all these values, then we can be able now to save them. So this is what this line is doing. So this new line is, that's what it's doing. So we are adding it inside the model. So then we gonna now be able now to save the data. After we need to save it after, so save. Then it's just a function. And error. And if we have an error, we can just console log it here. Then we may give we can also give a message, but for now we're gonna do it small because whatever I'm doing just a basic application to show you it's possible to connect to a database. So once we have done that, we can now create another folder now. So it's supposed to be the views. So we are following the MVC way. So it's gonna be a view, but we're not gonna call it a view because we can call it routes. Can just call it routes. So outside it should be outside a folder, a new folder called routes. So, so it's gonna be called routes. Just a minute. Yeah, gonna call it routes. And now inside routes we can have the application, this route that we have created for adding inside the controller. So we need to create users, file called users route.js. So now inside route.js we can create a method for adding a user. So we need to call the express. We need to require express here. So require express. So express provides a method known as express provides a route. So we're gonna call it express. With express now we can be able to access the router. So first, router be equals to express router, and it's a method, it's a function. So then with that, so our application is getting awesome. So at least now we have a backbone now. So what I want us to create after creating the router, now we can use this router post method. So post method. Then so since it's gonna be a route, allowed us to have a method, a header. I made a header. So there is get post. Get post. Those are the common ones. Get post and then now we can create an async function here with request and response. So for REST APIs, it takes these three parameters. So it gets a request, a response, and a next. So if there is no response, what do you do next? What the other step do you need to do? Then inside our function, we need to now create, since we are creating a USSD, we need to create a body request, a request body. Need to add a request body. Sorry guys. So from here now we can create a response body. We can create a request body. So we just need to create a constant from the body. So our response, our request will have a phone number, text. Then you're gonna require a session ID, then a service. So these ones we are not gonna use the service ID and the session. Let me just omit them. Not gonna use them, and then we just call it request body. So, yeah. So once we have a request body, we can now create our so we can start. So now we can start building our USSD. So the USSD, let me get you the USSD documentation for USSD. So you can read the documentation more and understand how you're gonna be accessing the APIs. So there is a library, or this library. There is also different guys who does. So let me just get Africa's talking. So I'm gonna be sharing with you like a link for Africa's talking developer group. They are on Slack. They are on Slack. They have a developer group where you can learn more about it and experiment more on it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create. Let me just get the documentation. We just get the docs. So these are the developers. So from their documentation, there are a few things that you really need to tutorial on USSD. So implementing mobile money USSD menu with branded SMSs, building an online account application using. So I'm gonna just see this one. So yeah, branded SMS, two-way SMSs, and yeah. So you can, if you have a business, you can create a way that you want to reach out automated SMSs and such. So you can, so the first bit is really easy, I guess. You can choose, so this one is using PHP. So I need to look for the one using Node. So SDK Node, yeah. So this is for Node. Just go back. Notifications. So there is none of less documentation here, but you can join their Slack group. They are there. They have a comprehensive they can help you, like they can really help you a lot. So these are some of the networks they support. So they support Airtel in Ghana, Vodafone in Ghana, MTN, Airtel, Kenya, Orange, Airtel, Equitel. I don't know whether they also support Vodafone in South Africa. So these are custom network that only applies when working in the sandbox. So for you, Iram, I'm not sure whether you'll be able to do a test, yeah, but you can use a number. Yeah. So I'm not sure whether this one is created in Python. So this one building an offline account management application. So this one is using Python. So I don't know if there is one for Node, but yeah, that is also something you can be able to do. You can submit your application and then yeah. So let me create this part very fast so that we see if we can get to test it, so that I don't use a lot of your time. Yeah. So if we need to also create like kind of local variables to be accessed within the function. So it's going to be response. So our res will be equals to con. So this for every USSD application, if you want a response, it has to start with a con, and if you want to end something, you end with this. You end it like that. So yeah, and then we need to create a variable data to represent data. So every time we do an input, either a text input or something, will be storing it inside this data. So we're gonna do split. So it means and everything else. Then we can get started with an if. So if it's supposed to be data was equals empty, then we need to do this. If data is empty, we need to call our response, our res, which will be equals to backtick. So with this, with having defined it this way, then we can be able to write our message. So I'm just like create an account, get started. Yeah. Create an account to get started, and then we can create our first menu. So our first menu is create account. So that is our first menu. Yeah, that is our first menu. That is our first menu. So having our first menu, now we can export this module. Can now be able to export the module so that we can be able to access it. So, module, equals. So yeah, now we have exported it, and now we can import it to this particular page all file. So we can now import it. We can now import it below the port. So we need to create const router can give it a name. Can call it router or routes. Just let's call it routes equals require user routes. Yeah. Then you remember we had created app.use. So app.use routes. But we need to make sure, because with a route, the routes have to have a forward slash like that. Now we can be able to access routes. So we can refresh. And we have a problem. So we have a problem. Routes had already been created. Let me just do response. I don't know whether it's gonna override it. Let me remove this one. Yeah, there. Okay. Now we have our application running on port 8000. So we can open a new terminal. Need to open a new terminal. So under this new terminal, we have our ngrok installed globally, so we can be able to access it globally. So we need to do ngrok http 8000. So it's gonna produce, or it's gonna give us two links. The first one is a HTTP, and the other one is HTTPS. It's gonna be a HTTPS. So we're gonna pick up the HTTPS one. So we're gonna just pick the HTTPS one. So remember the account I told you guys to, yes?
Which command you use? ngrok?
ngrok to tunnel it, I use ngrok. ngrok HTTP 8000. 8000. The Rust number is the port your application is running on.
Okay. And before that, for the app.js, we write the program. There is also, you can, after one second.
Okay.
After we install the mongos.env, then which command you use to run the application?
So
npm start,
npm start or yarn start. If your package manager is npm, use npm start. If you're using yarn, use
okay.
yarn start. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So you remember the account.
Thanks.
That, okay, have you been able to run the application? Yes, Ira.
I tried to run.
Okay. Yeah. So you remember the account that I told you guys to create on Africa's token so this is the USSD section. So under apps and sandbox. So before that, let's go back to dashboard. Dashboard supposed to be home. Let's first of all go home. So for you to access the sandbox, you can either go directly to the sandbox here, but you can create an app here. You can create apps here. So you can create an app here. Supposed to create a team name or something. You can create a team name here, and then inside the application you can have apps. So these apps, so they normally give you like a balance of 4 once your application is live. Once your application is live. So also for USSD, so you can see the difference. When you have an app, this section is green, and this will always be your balance. So if you're doing bulk SMS, you have to pay, you have to credit it here, a balance. So there is also premium SMS and such stuff. Yeah. Then this one is for development. Now for development, it's orange. For development, it's orange, and then you don't have the you can see the difference. Yeah, you can see the difference. So this one is for testing purposes. So if you want to go to production or you want to go live, you need to pay for this. Yeah. So we're gonna have to go to this section. Yes, Idam?
Actually, my command ngrok http 8000 is run, but npm start it gives me error like I put picture.
Okay. Let me. I'll check it and then I'll send you. Yeah, send picture. Send the screenshot of your error. Okay, so we're gonna use the USSD part. Then we're gonna go to create a channel. But before I create a channel, I just need to go to the service code. So there is also sessions. Sessions. So here you can be able to check what went wrong when you're doing your testing. So you can be able to visit here and you can be able to see the reason why it failed. So you can see details why your endpoint failed and why there was no response. So these are some of the things. So this is the final response, like no success and zero HTTP. Like the ngrok server was the one who had problem. Yeah. So I need to go back to the service code. So you can only create 2 service code at a time. So I don't want to lose that number, so I'm just gonna delete this one. So I'm just gonna delete this one and then I'm gonna paste it there. Then I'll go back to my terminal and copy the HTTPS part, the forwarding for HTTP part. So ngrok gives you three. This one is for web interface. This one is available for everybody. Yeah. So for any platform. So I'm gonna use the HTTPS because it's secure. Then I'm gonna paste it here. Then I'm gonna create. So once I've created, I can copy this one now. And then I can go to launch emulator or simulator. So I'm gonna launch simulator. And I'm gonna use my number. So to launch our application, to launch my application. So there is a difference. There is these numbers. Like you can select the country you are from. Then I'm just gonna launch this one. So once I've launched, I'm gonna paste the USSD code now and call my application. So I hope it works. So it's gonna take some time so that it registers the URL, this URL. So let me see. It says a bad gateway. So phone number. We need the service ID. We need the service ID. So we need the service ID. We need the service ID. So guys, I'm the one who said that we don't really need them, but we need them. We do need them. Yeah, we need them. So let's see. So still there is an error. So because body as it's undefined. Okay, let's just comment it for now. Okay. So we still have so let's see what I'm missing. This is something I've been missing. Let's see. Must be something that you're missing. Something you're missing. Request body. It's undefined. So we need body parser. We need cookie parsers and body parsers. Cookie and course. Now we need these ones. We need these two. We need this close origin and yarn. We need to add these two models, not models, but these two. So cookie parser and course are for request bodies, helping the request body. So you need to add those two. That is what I'm missing. Actually, undo this to the original. So I can remain the variables. Then inside app, we need to define these middlewares. We need to define app.use express.json so that it can be able to accept JSON data. Then we need to appuse.express and then URL encoded, set to extend force. So let's see if it's gonna work. So those ones have used. Okay, so this kind of body parser is actually they are saying that it's duplicated, but it should work now. It should work. So that is a warning. This one is a warning. So it should work now. So laptop is available, and then this one should work. Sorry guys, it's supposed to be cookie parser. supposed to be cookie parser. So let's see. Sorry guys. I've taken a lot of your time. So the models, or the not models but packages, should be so developing on Node.js, the best thing that you can never have is to develop on Node.js. Okay, I've developed using different programming languages, but so far what I've used for a very long for a long time is Node.js. Node.js, it's I think 3 years. I think 3 years now. Yeah. And it's awesome to create with Node. So yeah, we have them now. We have the cookie and the parser. So I'm just gonna copy these 2 lines. So the first one. So just gonna paste them there. So these ones. So here you can do the same. Then I'm gonna this other part app.use these two. Then I'm gonna save it now. So then I'm gonna do yarn. So we are doing the last bit of the day, and then we call it a day. So I know there's a lot of things we have done a lot. Yeah. So yeah, we should be good now. Okay. It's just this one goes. Might be using a new version. So the application, this application I think we are using Express version 4.17. This other one is using Express 4.17. Using the same. So this is something new. Express should be Express extend to true. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we are good now. So spread is not defined. So for now, I'm just gonna remove it. Just gonna remove this part. Then we'll be left with text. Exact. Oh yeah, I forgot. So this con is really it's something that which is needed. So you really need to remember every time you are requesting for a response, start with a con and end with a con. So normally I define it here. I define it here so that I don't forget. I define it yeah, like that, so that I don't forget. But yeah, so now we'll be good now. Should be good now. Okay. Let's just go to analytics and see the problem. Sessions. So dates and so it's not my fault. The yeah. Let's try again. So it's online. Okay, it should be giving us something, the reason why it's not connecting, but Okay, guys. I'm not sure why. It might be from the well, now I'm not sure why it's not working now. Oh, I'm not sure why. So I'm not sure why it's not working, but at least not sure why it's not working. So maybe we can let's end there, and yeah, I think we can end there. Yeah, I think we can end there then.
It's okay. Jordan.
Yes.
Yeah, can you please help with the video for Monday, Wednesday, and today?
Okay. Okay. I'll make sure you get them by tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay,
upload
it's
them.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna upload them.
So that we can just go through and try the thing out because we're just watching you.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Is there any other requests or something? Not sure why. Any other question? Hello? Then I think we can end this meeting then.
It's okay. Good night and have a nice weekend.
Yeah. So have a great weekend, and